The Gulf crisis is now entering its second month. On June 5th, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain imposed a trade blockade on the tiny Gulf nation of Qatar. And on Wednesday, foreign ministers from the four countries met in the Egyptian capital of Cairo to address the crisis. Doha maintains that the list of demands is unacceptable. Among the 13-point list of demands include the downgrading of ties with Iran, the closure of Al Jazeera news network, and cutting support for the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood. Somalia has adopted a neutral stance and has since called for dialogue, but experts are now worried that any escalation of the Gulf crisis will impact Somalia's stance.
Saudi Arabia is trying to pressure Somalia to join its alliance because Mogadishu's neutral stance has partially aided Qatar's air blockade. Somalia has in the past sided with Saudi Arabia and Egypt, but now it seems like the government has weighed its options and sees neutrality as the best option.
The president of Somalia visited both Riyadh and Doha immediately after taking office earlier this year, and both promised millions of dollars in budgetary support. That support, including a major development deal by Saudi Arabia costing millions of dollars, now hangs in the balance, as Mogadishu insists on the need for dialogue. Qatar Airways is also allowed to use Somali airspace and has reportedly increased its use of the country's airspace from 2 flights a day to more than 15. Saudi Arabia, on the other hand, is Somalia's biggest animal market, a trade that contributes 40% to Somalia's GDP.
A border issue is now causing tension between Asmara and Djibouti, but Somalia will not lose much of it if it adopted the same stance. Economically and politically, Somalia needs to side with Saudi Arabia.
And as the rift widens, financial experts warn it will likely deal an economic blow to several Muslim countries. Kuwait is currently leading the mediation talks, with Mogadishu calling on the Arab League to intervene and put to an end the standoff. And as Arab countries seek to isolate Doha by accusing it of supporting extremism, the foreign ministers from the four countries will meet again in Bahrain for another round of consultations on what the next steps will be. Abdulaziz, Billow, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.